Welcome, Iris. We just started the live share
Right.
now. So we timed it. It's World Federation of Young Theosophists group study of practical occultism. And before we start, there's 2 minutes of silence. Okay. We come to an overview of what practical occultism is. This is a book written by uh, Blavatsky. She was one of the founders of the TS. And she says here that occultism isn't magic, though magic is one of its tools. It's not the acquirement of powers, whether psychic, intellectual, though both are its servants. And neither is occultism the pursuit of happiness, as men understand the word. For the first step is sacrifice, the second, renunciation. All three of these are kind of what occultism isn't. And then lastly, what it is the science of living, the art of life. And we come to this is where we left off last time. Uh, Iris, no pressure to stay until the end if you want. More people normally join, but yeah, because it's just the two of us, don't feel obliged to stay the whole time. But
Okay.
I appreciate it if you do, but you don't have to.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, if you want to read these, you can. If not, I can read them too. Uh,
Yeah, I
normally,
can read them. Yeah.
okay, thanks.
All right. He is driven out into the wild and desolate spaces of life by an ever-growing unrest he cannot quell. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the words right, but I'm trying.
Yeah,
His
so
heart
far
is
so
too
good.
full. His heart is too full of passion and selfish desire to permit him to pass the golden gate. He cannot find rest or peace in ordinary life. 48. He he then in eventually eventually fall into the sorcery of black magic, and through many incarnations heap up for himself a terrible karma. Is there no other road for him?
Yeah, and this
Okay.
this slide is picking up from the context of a person once they're attracted to the occult. It's saying that once someone is attracted to the occult, to trying to figure out why things are the way they are and living life as it should be, this is this is what seems to happen to them.
Yeah. I'm reading it again. What do you think they mean with must he then eventually fall into the sorcery and black magic through the many? What do you mean? What do you think?
I think that before, like previous quotes or sentences was about that most of the people, like I think over 90% who start investigating and doing, fall into the black magic and sorcery because they do not have proper ethical background or moral background. I think was it written. So I think this is like a continuation of what was said before. And this is like the question, is it possible to avoid it or something? Do we really need this bad karma? But I think we already have this bad karma from Atlantis to fall into the black magic.
Yeah, there's this idea that those passions that she talks about in 47, those are in and of themselves what would make us fall into black magic, because they're all tied to the lower personal self. And if we start developing powers, the ability to see things more clearly or get things done in a way that others can't, if we still have those selfish passions and we start using those things for our own selfish means, it's black magic. And like Mary Kay was saying, that that was the end of, in the Theosophical tradition, Atlantis. Atlantis was a civilization that fell before our current civilization started because they couldn't rise above selfishness. And I think they say, I've heard it said before that a, a lot of the United States, its its background comes from Atlantis, which is why a lot of technology comes out of the U.S., but we're also in a lot of ways very selfish. It's kind of a throwback to that. Anything else on these two? Okay, I could read these. Or Mary Kay, did you want to read these two?
Yes, I would love to. Let him aspire to no higher than he feels able to accomplish. Let him not take a burden upon himself too heavy for him to carry. Without ever becoming a Mahatma, a Buddha, or a great saint, let him study the philosophy and the science of soul, and he can become one of the modest benefactors of humanity without any superhuman powers. So I think it is nice because it says like, let him aspire to this higher accomplishment and if he's, maybe it's better to not take so much burden on him like the Mahatmas and Buddhas are taking, that they are not going to go nirvana before all humanity has enlightened, and instead of that, it's better if a person is interested in those things, that let him study the philosophy and the science of the soul. So it's like, this is a little bit what Theosophy is doing, in my understanding, that you got a little bit taste of it. And, at the very least, we can become the modest benefactors of humanity in a small way. without any supernormal powers, because if you have a more power, you have more responsibility. If you do not know any theosophical ideas, then and you do wrong or you don't do anything, it is a less karmic actions when instead of you know a lot and you don't do anything with those. So you get like more bad karma by not doing so. So if you already have some kind of knowledge, then you should put it in action to become at least the modest benefactors. And yeah. And I think if you become something more than modest benefactors, then you already some kind of, I don't want to say superhuman powers, but already like some of the powers start growing. You start feeling you can do more and more. The more you do, the more you feel you're able to do. They are agreeing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We are trying to live in a green way and use only one computer for.
Save the planet.
Yeah, save the planet for small way.
Small contributors.
Yeah.
Modest.
Modest contributors. Modest contributors. I think I just landed, sorry, but I think there is a very important idea here also. I mean, from my understanding, I didn't see the 2 points before, sorry. But you know, because also you have these people, you have this risk of the spiritual proudness, no?
Yeah.
Or a spiritual hyper ambition, no?
Mm.
And it's a tricky thing, no?
Yeah.
Because one should have an aspiration, but I think also one has to be realistic. Like we are born with some characteristics, with some skandhas. We have certain karma, no? And I think we really need to just kind of simply go through it, no? I mean, we can have an aspiration, but we need to be careful to don't try to have an ambition.
Too strong ambition. But again, what is the ambition? You know,
Ambition versus aspiration.
yes.
Yeah.
But the ambition is like yeah, what is the ambition and how are you going to like achieve it? Are you going? Are you ready to do anything to achieve it, or you are very look like every action what you are doing and how it is affect others and I just wanted to show you something.
She coming back?
Yes. Did you see it in the right way or not?
Yeah, it says your purpose is not the thing you do, it's the thing that happens in others when you do what you do.
Yes, I totally love this thought, so I write it down. So I like it. Like it's not about what you do; it is what's happening afterwards around you. Like I suppose healers have a lot of good things, and the teachers. But again, if the students will take it and use it for something bad, those knowledges, or if you heal somebody and this person becomes a murderer or to do something very awful for a lot of other people, then this is also a little bit your karma because you have healed this. So, but I going too far. So your purpose is not the thing you do; it's what happens.
Really, you think if you help unknowingly, maybe help someone who does bad, some of that karma comes to you?
So they say. I also heard like there was this bodhisattva, and in this ship, this is a story, and they noticed that there's this murderer who is killing other people, and then this bodhisattva didn't see any other way that then he killed the murderer, and he knows that he got bad karma, but he saves other people and he saves this murderer for making more bad karma. And this is like, wow, like a next level, because you're supposed to not kill anybody, but what is the motivation like behind it?
But there is also, I've only heard things where a spiritual guru would only help the other person. But do you know the story of Angulimal,
No.
the murderer who used to collect fingers?
Yes, but
Oh my
you can tell the story.
You can tell the story. I don't
Okay,
know.
the short version is Angulimal was a highway robber who used to kill people and collect their fingers as trophies. And
Around their neck.
yeah, and he encountered the Buddha one day, and the Buddha was unfazed. He was not scared of him. So Angulimal was confused. And well, they had an interaction, and eventually it turned Angulimal, and he kind of renounced his evil, ways. But that is up to him. The Buddha can only impart wisdom, and I don't know if he can be selective in healing people or imparting the wisdom that he has. So,
I mean, if he sees that this is bringing bad, he can like say, I think he can say no, but in that case, I think he saw a possibility, and he became a monk or like a follower of Buddha.
yeah.
And many people still was afraid of him, but he went to he already started to like erasing his karma. But many people, because I have a lot of like fame around him, and people were afraid, and like it was really hard for him. But it was like a tremendous thing that he turned.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I believe doctors are not allowed to
Choose.
not heal.
Exactly.
people.
But nowadays, if you think if you can't afford the surgery or whatever, they will not heal you. If you go to hospitals,
Yeah.
I have no money.
Yeah, that's a different thing. Yeah, that's capitalism. But yeah, even a criminal has the right to defend himself, and if the court is compelled to provide them counsel, if they cannot hire. So there are various ways you can look at it. So I'm confused about the karmic aspect in this. I think we're straying from the
A little.
yeah.
I think
So-
Seth needs to bring us back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so 50 here, where it says, "Let him study the philosophy and the science of soul, and he can become one of the honest benefactors of humanity." I think that's a pretty big hint that she's given us, to study the philosophy and science of the soul. Yeah, bringing it back to our own personal lives, when you and I and all of us who are interested in trying to see things as they are and living the life of occultism, I think there's normally, if we, in deep reflection and silence, ask ourselves, well, what can I do in order to see things more clearly? What can I do to better help the world right now? What is the next step that I can take? I think that is what she's saying is the way to help. Because there's this idea that evolution doesn't jump. I mean, once we get into the human kingdom, it speeds up a lot because we become our own impetus for evolution, but nothing is a jump. So if we try to become a Mahatma immediately, we'll fail miserably. But if we just keep looking for that next step, I think we evolve a lot faster. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts about this science of the soul. When you look inside, do you ever see a particular next step that you would take?
So after you commented, I started reading this, the self-culture, and I think the science of soul, like Taimni has like also the science of yoga, and he has many like really good things. And I think the science of soul is this development or understanding that there is a plan, and you start consciously taking steps to go further of this plan. I recently read this Hodgson about one of his book, and he has this really good remark. So he says, you can, in my words, you can judge how old is the soul by the time it takes for him to notice that he has a mistake and then like remove it. By the time he noticed and then he takes an action and remove it, how long does it take? If it's in a short time, it's evolved soul. If it's like he notices, if he doesn't even notice it might take several lives before he notices that there's something I should do about it. And I think the science of soul is something like that, that you will start to do those, you notice that you have some something is not perfect and you could make it better, and you actually do. So I think the science of soul is like is a kind of this philosophy and occultism, and where Blavatsky tries to take our notice in
It seems like the awareness. And Iris, I saw you unmuted. Did you want to say anything?
No, I just wanted to add that also the science of the soul can also be seen as the science of your own soul, that's the looking inward and not reading the book, but the science of your own soul.
I was also wondering about the other side. So one is you gain some knowledge and you do what you can, what little you can. But how bad is it to not do anything? Is that a terrible thing where at least you don't cause any harm, but you still do nothing? Is that as bad as said?
That's a good question, and I've been in a situation before where I had absolutely no idea what the right thing to do was, and the advice that I got from an older member of the TS that I considered to be a lot wiser than I am, not wise at all, but I consider him to see things very clearly, was to wait and just see what happens. So, which was hard, when you have to make a decision on something that affects a lot of different things, just to wait. And I think his intent was that sometimes karma works itself out and it's beyond you. So yeah, it reminded me of that, but maybe someone else has.
I personally think that I don't know, it's what comes to my mind on this question of Vignesh, that to have a passive doing, a non-doing, for me it's worse that you're not even trying. It's even worse than failing, because when you try and you fail, then you give an opportunity to learn and to evolve. But when you become paralyzed by fear, we know fear is one of the lowest emotions we can have, no? One of the things that it's really kind of anti-evolutive in a sense. And we know we should not be so afraid, because at the end of the day, we have many lives to learn. The universe is very long. We have a long path to go. So my personal opinion is that it's always worth trying, at least,
Yeah.
At least when you know what to do, or what you can do. Yeah.
But not knowing is not doing is also doing.
In the other sense.
Yeah? Like, well, I don't know, we should maybe put an example. Maybe you're having one thing in the mind and I'm having
Do
another.
you have a good example? What do you mean?
Yes.
For example, the TS here. We have the discussion we were having today, that we
Yes.
can do so many things with the campus and we don't do. We see it, we see the potential,
Mhm.
but still we are not taking. Okay, there's one thing doing things slowly, and there's one thing where you don't do anything. You don't even try.
We
Yeah.
do it slowly. We're not. It's not like we don't do anything.
No. We do things, but for example, I don't want to get into
We are getting into
specific.
trouble. Muddy
This
waters.
is being recorded.
All
Yes.
recorded.
Yeah, this is live on
This is
YouTube.
live. So if the GM is watching,
Everybody. Team also.
GM is watching. Yeah. So let's say where we can give access to, say, the public or community members nearby who coexist with us, and we don't do that. Where we know that doing that, even though it's difficult and it can be tricky navigating those relationships, because they're not really members, blocking them out completely, knowing that, granting, a little access somehow would be beneficial in many ways.
Mhm.
Not doing that is
Worse.
wrong. It's worse than
I believe that
you
for
believe
sure.
that. I
I mean,
believe that, yeah. Yeah.
no, I believe that sometimes we are also afraid of the change and of complicating. We see, oh, this may be very complicated, or oh, what are the risks? I think it's important to consider the things. One has to be wise, but I think one has to be brave, and I think one has to trust on the help of
That we may get.
yes, and the help of the masters, and I think I don't know. I think yeah.
If it's a welfare from others, if we really believe that they potentially could benefit it, and we offer is it their karma to take it and really get the benefit? This is not, but it is our thing because we have the possibilities to offer. This is our karma to give this because we have the possibility.
And if we fail, we can always close it again.
Yeah.
I guess. Sorry, we are going a little far.
Again.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so yeah, we can probably
Yes.
move to
Or
the
no more ideas from your side.
next. Iris wants to say something.
No,
No?
you said it all. No?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, if you'd like to say anything, you're welcome to. If not, we'll go to the next slide.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Let's do the next.
Okay. Does anyone want to read 51 and 52?
Vignesh.
Yes, you're close.
Siddhis or the Arhat powers are only for those who are able to lead the life, to comply with the terrible sacrifices required for such a training, and to comply with them to the very letter. Let them know at once and remember always that true occultism or theosophy is a great renunciation of self, unconditionally and absolutely, in thought as in action, out of calculation of the ranks of the living altogether.
Wow.
I think that 52 there is powerful in that
Very much.
it equates theosophy, which is what we're all interested in, with occultism. That's its aim.
It reminds me of a quote of Rami that I like very much, which is something like this. Bark, like when you are betting in a, what do you say, when you put money to play on the casino.
Chips?
No, but
Betting?
the other bark, bet, no.
Bet.
Bet kind
Betting.
of.
Yeah.
Gamble.
Bet everything for love or leave this gathering.
Ah.
You know?
Wow.
He has this say, which is which is very nice, you know. I mean,
Rumi.
Rumi, yes. It's a little less scary maybe than this. But I think that the truth is this, no, I think it's very related to the previous ones. Like one may not be ready to make I think the vehicles or whatever it is, you know, has to be ready to naturally be able to like the renunciation is total, no, at a certain point. And I cannot even imagine the idea of when this is like this, it means even all I think all the values that we have even
But
the differentiation between family. Another way a Guruji told me I really like very much is he was saying that what really initiation means is when you have reached this point of universal love, but we can say universal love, but then he was asking me, are you able to love your mother the same as a seed? And I said, no, I love my parents more than an apple, you know? It sounds maybe naive, but it's like that. Like universal love means universal love. Are you able to give away all of these characteristics? I said, no, I cannot, you know? And he said, of course, you have a karma, you need to feel, you cannot full yourself. This was, sorry, I make a little parenthesis, but this was in a context where I had met a very nice guru and we were in an Indian festival in a Kumbh Mela, and I met some Russian people, and then they were all looking very, you know, straight and like this, no? And then they were asking me, did you get your initiation? And I said, what initiation? I had been with a guru for some time, no? So then I went to see the Guruji. I said, hey, Guruji, you know, these people told me about initiation. And Guruji got so angry, what initiation, initiation, initiation? And then he calmed down and he was saying, Chipra to think, one universal love. And he asked me this, are you able to love a plant same as your mother? I said, no. I said, if that's the thing, you need a karma to go. And the second, mental silence. And he was laughing when he was saying that. Why do you laugh? Because he was saying, can you be mental silent and can you stop thinking about your bamboo houses and this? And I said, no. And he said, of course. He would say, you need your bamboo tambu, he was saying, and this is what you need to do. And when you naturally fulfill this mission, initiation will be when you can naturally have universal love and mental calmness, but that is a real initiation, and otherwise we are not ready to take this path, no? Like we will self-destroy ourselves.
But I think theosophy is like a way to this path. It is like a yes. I think if we start giving service, it's easier to do next little bit bigger thing. We're not able to do like this universe. I don't think you have to love the seed the same way your mother, like.
But at least love the seed.
Yes, at least love the seed. Like this is a potential to this seed has a potential to become a forest of apples and feed a lot of hungry people, and I'm grateful for like you see the potential in everything, like each person, even if whenever he acts or she, like there is potential. They are not this picture of this moment, they are much more. I very much like this saying, each saint has a past and each sinner has a future. So everybody has a huge future. So
Yeah,
and they're all a process.
Yeah, so if I were to imagine a Mahatma, you know, someone who has evolved infinitely more than I can't imagine that they'd ask me to love, you know, a seed as much as I love a fellow human being. Because I think that, you know, I agree that we're supposed to love a seed, but I think that as our love evolves and becomes greater, our intelligence evolves with it. And, you know, we would see that a seed doesn't feel the same that a human being does. You know, it's not conscious, it's not aware, it's learning how to be these things. So we help it in whatever way we can, but our discernment tells us that it's more important we learn to love all the people around us as much as we can. And I don't know, I like this idea that as our love evolves and becomes stronger, our intelligence does with it. So it's not just like learn how to love everything. It's learn how to love everything while also developing your intelligence. I don't know. It makes it feel more real, like something that we're meant to do to me.
Yes.
I agree. I think this was a little of an exaggeration to make realize of the unity of life and how you really.
Yeah.
But if you think, for example, about the lives of Blavatsky or Annie Besant, they had such an enormous renunciation. Annie Besant, when she separated from
Family and children.
family and children, she had to renounce. She had to leave. There was this story. I don't know the detail, but her husband would be violent with her, and then she separated from this preacher, and then he kept the children because in that time to be divorced, a divorce was not very well seen. And imagine the renunciation. I'm not a mother, but I can imagine that you are leaving your children there in that country with that person, to go for a greater mission. You see what I mean? There's something that goes, so maybe it's not a seed, but for sure she has made a choice of loving or dedicating more. I don't know, in her heart she may love everything, but at least she made a decision to consciously dedicate more time of her life to the Theosophical Society and to her children. So how many people could have judged her? I say, you are a bad human being. How could you renounce to your children? On the same way, Blavatsky, she got married, so she could run away. So she tried to run away how many times? Since she got married, finally she managed with a horse. So how many people would have said, hey, you committed to, you were married, you are supposed to commit to a person, you have left one person to go for this. So I think this renunciation goes beyond even the kind of moral ideas we've grown with, and it can be very challenging, and probably from different aspects, it could be even seen as a bad thing. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
But I think there's this thing, like in the beginning, you do not have to sacrifice all. Like, I mean, you could be renounced and you could still be rich in a money sense. It's just only when you meet the conditions that you feel, okay, now I have to do this, or like there's no other way. But in a bigger picture, in a bigger plan, that this is a right way to go. But if nowadays maybe you're in a situation where you do not have to renounce your children in order to divorce and do the things you consider important. So it was his miraculous and sacrificial life, and thanks to a lot of people in India and all over around the world to get a lot of really important messages and text, and but I think it is like a possibility that you can renounce, but the renunciation doesn't mean you absolutely have to give away everything. It means that you are ready. If the situation comes, you are ready to do it. It doesn't mean that you are. It doesn't mean you do not feel like I don't really want to do it, but I can see this is the way to go, or this is in a bigger picture, this is the best way. And then you have peace in yourself, like. And I don't know how old her children was at that time, and maybe I know that later they lived sometimes with her, or her daughter at least lived at sometimes with her afterwards. But other than that.
But it's just come naturally, right?
Yeah.
So you should not, just because the thought is there or you read it in the books that you should sacrifice things, that you should sacrifice it. It should come, I think, from within, that you think this is I want this with all my, with everything, that I want to do this sacrifice, and then it comes naturally, instead of it being like a mental thought of, oh, this is, I'm a good person if I sacrifice this, right? So I don't know, it feels like then you don't do it for the right reason, and you don't.
In that case, you would expect some kind of recognition
return.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you're on the black magic path more, I think, right? Or the more
I mean,
you're
if you
getting a
have,
bit off track.
if you have a little bit of the thought, I think it's more important to do a good deed, even if it's have a selfish motivation, because this is the first step, and the motivation gets cleaner and better over time. It is not just you can choose if you haven't, if everybody around you are doing like maybe selfish things, or then even the selfish good deed is better because it leads you to give you a karma to do a little bit better next time and a little bit better. So like if you have a possibility to do a good deed, but you understand I have a secret wish to be recognized, it is better to do it than not to not do it if somebody else would benefit it. If it will be like unselfish, it will have more good karma. But so what? At least it's done, and you know.
Yeah, and if whoever it is aware that they have this secret desire to be recognized, that's already very impressive. Normally that's unconscious to people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, if at least you can see in yourself that you are motivated by so and so things, that's a huge step in a way. So you can be conscious of uh, your further actions, and not stray too much further from the path. Just being able to see yourself, uh, just being able to see your motivations and your true self is in itself a big thing. That's very true.
But
Sure.
when we were saying about this, that exactly, you cannot say, okay, I am going to leave my children because this other thing is what Iris was saying, at a certain point, there is something inside of you that gives you a certain clarity that there is something more important, no?
But if you don't
but I still feel that even if they had that thing, there was a conscious step that was probably painful,
Yeah.
I think the renunciation was a conscious step.
Yeah.
There is a certain braveness, there is always a certain uncertainty, no?
It's a sacrifice.
For example, when they came, Lavasky and Olcott came here, I was laughing a lot in these old diary leaves of Olcott, because after some time, Olcott found out in some of the letters, so they came from America to here, they stopped in London, and apparently Blavatsky sent this letter to her family saying, I hope we make it, I'm not very sure because there were many storms and many ships will. And then Olcott was like, what? She told me that everything was written, that it was totally clear, that the Mahatma says was all granted. And then she's telling me now in the letter that she really didn't know very well if it was work out or not, So that was very funny. They had a very funny relation. So I think she was also, even her, with the Mahatma's thing, she was still like, okay, it seems they want this. I have an intuition. Okay, let's go for it. Then still as a human was like, this doesn't sound very reasonable,
But still, she went.
They didn't have that much money. They couldn't go in the best boats, And the stories are like, they were locked in one room and the other and stinky because of the rain. And anyway, so even then, with that super connection, there was always this kind of certain level of uncertainty that they had to overcome and just, go for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think there is still always a point of, then there's always that click of a little brave renunciation,
Yes.
jump into a little of the unknown. But again, I think what Iris was saying, the motivation is very important. If you do it because there's something inside of you that tells you, I feel this is very important. Yes, if you do it because you said, I could use the same words, but it's different, no? Because you want to be bigger or you want to say, yeah, that is the different motivation, no?
Yeah.
You
But it's nice to see that, like, in a way, to hear that even them has some doubts, but they still did it. And
Yes.
I very much like, we were reading last Adyar youth gathering, this book about Annie Besant's, I think it was Spiritual Life. It was collection of the articles. And there was this one thought I really liked. She explained how it is important to have like right motivation. It is not right. It is not important what comes out of your action, because you might have the karma that you're not able to do it, or you don't have any profit, but at least you try. And even if you fail, you have created reasons for next life or next try to succeed. So it's not about succeeding. It's not about what you do. It's about what is behind the motivation and everything that goes with that. So if you have the motivation, oh, I want to help, but you actually don't do anything, then it is just a thought. But if you at least try to do something, or if you at least, then you got already like a little bit of this modest attempt to help the humanity, or like
Yeah, I agree. And I do believe it's only to our personalities, to the external world, where things appear to fail. If your motivation is to help on the inner planes, you're already helping right now, immediately. Everything is instant. But on the outer planes, it can look like you did nothing at all. And I don't know. When you look at it objectively, from a high enough perspective, everything in this world will disappear completely. It'll be gone, forever. And the only thing that remains is this spirit that's animating us deep beneath it that we never actually see here. I mean, we know the sun one day is going to explode and this universe is going to disappear, but what is animating us, the spirit behind us, is always going to be here. And that's it.
nothing to add to that.
Right, next two slides, if anyone wanted to read it, I can read it too. Okay, yeah, yes, please.
53. Not for himself, but for the world he lives. As soon as he has pledged himself to the work, much is forgiven during the first years of probation. 54. But no sooner is he accepted than his personality must disappear, and he has to become a bare beneficent force in nature.
I don't know, has anyone ever imagined themselves what it would be like to be a mere beneficent force in nature? No personality, you're just existing as, I don't know, a spirit giving its energy in the direction that it feels it needs to go in order to help some other entities. I feel like that's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
I was thinking the same. I was thinking just when I read that, for me, it's impossible to imagine that.
It's not.
Yeah, could it be literally what it reads as no personal? It might not be literal.
Yeah.
Maybe it just means the motivations aren't tainted by selfish aspects of your personality.
Yeah, I agree. Especially while we're still incarnated, we can't get around without a personality. But I think the intent is exactly like you said. It's not driving us anymore. It's just a tool we use.
I think it is possible if you don't have like strong feelings towards certain things, that you can see what is need to be done, and you see what is the like quickest or the best way, and you just do it because you see it is need to be done. And there's no personal liking and not liking. There's no like oh, this is so troublesome, let others do or something like that. You just this is something that needs to be done, and the sooner the better, and it is this way, it is the best way, and I can do it right now, so just go for it. And it's like yeah, I think at that moment you see also the bigger picture, you're able to see. And if you don't,
Sorry.
sorry, only that one. If you don't have strong emotions, you have so much more energy to do that. I just wanted to add.
Yeah, it's true. Those emotions zap a lot of our energy away. I realize that every day I get off work and some social interaction has zapped my energy. It's because of emotions, and that's it. But I like 53 here, that it says much is forgiven during the first years of probation is kind of an encouragement when we inevitably mess things up horribly. It's expected of us to mess things up.
I don't know. I think for 54 it's really difficult to talk about because it is a state that we cannot even. I don't think it is just the intention. I think it is, as you were saying, the way you will see the world, the way when we talk about personality becomes a vehicle and not what you act through. We can pronounce this sentence, but what that sentence means, I don't have a clue. You see what I mean? Like I cannot, maybe also because I'm
But what is
the Spanish and
Exactly.
the Latin thing, you know?
I'm wondering what is personality
Because
defined as in this context? Because much good that we see is done by strong personalities who feel very strongly in what in their beliefs. So it depends what the definition. I've not attended all the meetings. Have they defined personality as such? I don't know.
Not that we remember in the last times.
Not in this book, no.
Right.
If I had to guess, though, from this context, I would think what she means is that the selfish motivation's got to go away. That's what she means by person. Because if we're quiet for a while and stand back, sometimes we can see what other people see as our personality within ourselves, and its automatic reactions, the way it perceives the world. We can see that as a thing outside of us. I think that's what she means. And sometimes we can operate from a level behind that, but because we still live in this world and are incarnated, that personality is still going to be the go-between from this higher thing in the world around us. But it's not what's in the driver's seat anymore.
Yeah, you're not led by your personality. Yeah.
But that's why I say, how can you imagine that state?
But
You see
You
what I
can
mean?
imagine it, but it's going to be.
Because still now, even your good deeds or what we feel is a good intention, we understand it through personality. Isn't it? We try to purify our personality. You see what I mean?
Yeah, it's not, it seems impossible, but at least I think it, like Seth was saying, it means having a more objective outlook to what you're doing. So you can kind of step back and see what your motivations are. That you can do. You can do that, no?
Yes.
Before you set out to do something, you step back and examine what your true motivations are. And in that sense, you're not completely giving in to your personality, and you have a chance to maybe correct yourself where you might have just dived in and kind of strayed from what you should be doing. Yeah.
So sometimes imagine if you're in a silent meditation and there's no thoughts and you're just aware that you exist. That awareness that you exist would be the same for everyone else who is silently meditating in that way. And in that moment, you are completely separated from the personality, let's say. And then,
Yes.
and you can take that as kind of like, this is what it's like to be without the personality. But then when we go back into the world, those automatic reactions come back without us being aware all the time. Happens to all of us. And then you're back in the personality. And another example that I can think of is if any of you ever have to drive a lot and you're driving a car, you can imagine if someone else, say you're driving a car without thinking, you're just doing it, you're driving. If someone else were in the exact same kind of car on the exact same road, exactly where you are, their experience would be completely indistinguishable from yours. And that's devoid of the personality. And then, if someone cuts you off in front of you and your personality acts up, then that's your personality coming back into the equation. I don't know if that helps, but I don't know. It helps me visualize it a little bit.
Would be much easier if we were just directly born, no? Without the personality.
No,
But we
it'd be
need it.
boring.
Boring.
No. Yeah, I don't think it's literal. Can't be literal.
But
But I think it's one thing is the motivation, and the other is what you are said, which if I understand you, how I feel, what you say is also your identification in that moment, no? Who,
Yeah, I think
how,
that's a much better way to say it. Yeah.
because then I don't know, when you are driving or when you are meditating on that state, that idea of I am Fatima Martin and I have this character is not there anymore, no, at certain point. So on a sense, I don't know, maybe certain ideas can come in that moment or something, and it feels that they are not generated from just from maybe the lower records of the mind of the experience you may have had, or and emotions that you have, maybe similar to this kind of different types of dreaming that one can have, no? One can have dreamings which are more the normal dreaming, which is more influenced by the lower mind activity, and then sometimes you get these other dreams that is similar to this example Seth was saying, no? So it feels like there is another way of channeling which will be less influenced by all our daily emotions and daily impressions, no? We will be able to clean that thing, so then we are not, that is not influencing us on the acting or on our identification.
I had the same feeling. And one more thing, it says the sooner is accepted that this personality must disappear. But this is only personality. We also have individuality, according to Theosophy. And some of the things, like I don't know how to like totally separate personality and individuality. I understand individuality is the higher aspect. And right now I don't, I understand individuality is something that if the personality disappears, that some of your colors or some of your aspects are still remaining and that you have developed, and they will help you for the further evolution. So in a sense, everything you've gone through doesn't disappear totally, but it so you don't have to worry that you are just a mere force in the nature, in a like a wind, or you are like intelligent force. You have like the possibility to choose, but when you see this is more beneficial for more beings or in a bigger plan, then this is like so automatic. Even if you have to sacrifice yourself, this is must be done. This is like I understand it.
Yeah. And I think it is within our grasp in this lifetime to see our personality as our soul sees it, as this one thing that comes and goes, because the soul's had a ton of personalities. And I think that, in our daily interactions here and now, it's possible to see, Seth or Mary Kay or, anyone as a personality from the perspective of our soul, because that's our individuality, who we really are. Yeah, and Iris, I don't know if you wanted to say anything. I saw that you were muted.
Oh, yeah, no, I would just unmute myself in case I want to
That makes
say
sense.
something.
All right. I think we're just about at the end. I don't know if anyone had anything they wanted to say before we go to the meditation.
I very much like the first sentence, not for himself, but for the earth he lives.
And I also like much is forgiven during the first years of probation.
That gives hope.
Yes.
But I mean, in the first, you are going, like you are driving, you have it in your mind, but what comes out is like maybe perfect, but yeah, at least you have those thoughts among the other thoughts, and then those thoughts become like more dominant and until they take over.
2 minutes of silence before we end.